Hello, I'm Kerry Shamblin, and I practice jyotisha, also known as Vedic Astrology. I have been offering a monthly forecast since 1999 where I track how the planets are moving through the sky and how they may be affecting our life on Earth. I also work directly with others through counseling, teaching, and mentoring. Hi, this is Kerry. I have got the July 2025 Vedic Astrology forecast for you. Let's start out with a summary from each of the 9 planets. The Sun. The first half of July sees the Sun moving away from Jupiter through the latter half of Gemini, bringing attention to the life lessons learned. On July 16th, the Sun moves out of Rock in Gemini and into Cancer, where retrograde Mercury will be splashing. The real-life, deep integrations have a chance to settle into your heart amidst ruffled feathers on the surface. The Moon. July blazes into view as the Moon is waxing past the Mars and Ketu combination in Leo, with feelings swelling and shrinking. We may actually gain some clarity about how and why to move forward as we head toward the full moon in Sagittarius on July 10th. When we see the moon hollowing out once again, reaching the new moon in Cancer on July 24th, it brings some raw and vulnerable terrain that is begging to be traversed. Mars finishes his transit through the fiery terrain of Leo in July, making an exact conjunction with Ketu on July 21st and moving into Virgo on July 28th. Use powerful Mars in Leo wisely to gather courage and strength to move you past a barrier or obstacle. July could feel slightly stuck while August begins to see momentum gathering. Mercury keeps the water wings on through August, doing his best to remain efficient and cheerful as he navigates the emotional waters of Cancer. Mercury will be retrograde from July 17th through August 10th, which could be a call to surrender your intellectual approach to emotional processes. You can swim, but you can't hide. Feel the feels and use your analytical magic to bring sense to it all. Jupiter continues to guide our steps as he moves through Gemini. As the Sun departs to Cancer in mid-July, Jupiter gets some time alone to prepare for his next appointment, which is with Venus, who enters Gemini on July 26th. Find some time each day to read, learn, prepare lessons, review what you have learned. Keep your direction in mind and stay focused. Venus spends most of July rooted in her earthy sign of Taurus, reminding us that whatever we are working for and toward means little if we are unable to enjoy the fruits of the earth and the results of our labor. Business is business, but don't make it busyness. Venus moves from Taurus to Gemini on July 26th, joining Jupiter and gaining social momentum. Saturn continues patiently to bob his way through the oceanic environment of Pisces, reminding us that bringing work to fruition requires not only determination but also faith. On July 13th, Saturn begins a retrograde phase through November, inviting us to lighten up on heavy structure in favor of space and flow. Rahu in Aquarius is powerful through February of 2027. Turning up the volume, the sass, and the brainstorming in all of the air signs. We're looking at you, Libra and Gemini. Using this amplified innovation energy could be thrilling. Stick to one of those ideas at a time and ride it out to completion, or let it go if it doesn't fit. Ketu, the South Node. We look to Ketu when we feel a blockage, when we want to tease apart a knot or liberate ourselves from something. As Mars pushes toward and past Ketu by end of July, part of the wisdom imparted by situations around this time could reveal that the obstacles are coming from within. Confounding, but liberating. For an in-depth analysis of specific planetary placements, please continue to listen to the full planetary forecast. The end of June brought some shifts of the outer planets that will help to color the astrological anatomy of July. On June 22nd, Mercury moved into Cancer, where he stays until August 29th due to a retrograde cycle. On June 29th, Venus moved from fiery Aries into grounded Taurus, where she moves through until July 25th or 6th. Receiving an aspect from Saturn while in Taurus, we are collectively reminded to slow down our negotiations, taking into account long-term side effects of rash actions done in a reactive way. The pairing of Mars and Ketu in Leo will persist through July 28th, when Mars moves into Virgo, putting us into the hot seat through July. There is a sense of breaking through to another level, but no clear channel toward achieving it. Full moon in Sagittarius, Purvashada Nakshatra, July 10th. The first part of July is quiet as far as planetary shifts, so all eyes are on the waxing moon, moving through the empty half of the zodiac, temporarily breaking the dam that is hemming the slower moving planets on one side of the Rahu-Ketu axis. This combination is known as Kala Sarpa or Kala Amrita Yoga, depending on which side of that axis the planets are falling. This tends to bring events that feel fated, unwanted, or difficult to navigate. The moon's light source, the sun, will have moved past Jupiter by the beginning of July, loosening that hot combustion energy that makes it difficult to access the roots of wisdom and good judgment that Jupiter represents. By July 10th, we see the moon move to 25 degrees Sagittarius, an exact opposition with the sun at 25 degrees Gemini. This monthly opposition of the luminaries results in the full moon, when the moon receives the full light of the sun and reflects it back to us while gliding through the night sky. Sagittarius is Jupiter's fire sign and is receiving the opposite glance of Jupiter himself, who is currently placed in the sign of Gemini with the sun. Adding the bass note to this chord is Saturn, glancing at Sagittarius from watery Pisces, reminding us that rhythm and routine can do the work of stabilizing us when everything around us is moving. In analyzing this, we are looking at accessing growth through dynamic stability. We have our foundations, we have our mobility, and we must balance those two forces as we navigate toward positive growth and understanding. The full moon lands in Purvashada Nakshatra, the slice of Sagittarius that is lorded by Venus. Purvashada represents the mature manifestation of relationship, where the alchemy of fire and water brings knowledge and abundance. Sagittarius is the fire sign of Jupiter, and Venus, the ruler of the water element, also rules Purvashada, contained within Sagittarius. These two planets, while masters of different subjects, are known as the two great teachers, guides, and helpers. Look for the Venus and Jupiter conjunction in Gemini during August. Mercury retrograde in Cancer from July 17th through August 10th. Mercury departed Gemini for Cancer on June 22nd for an extended stay that finally pushes him into Leo on August 30th. The reason for this long transit is a retrograde cycle that has Mercury retracing his steps, starting at 22 degrees Cancer on July 17th and returning to forward motion at 10 degrees Cancer on August 10th. Mercury's name in Sanskrit is Bud, which is the word meaning intelligent and educated. The realm of Mercury is thought, communication, transaction, and learning, which provides a backdrop for all of our common daily activities, keeping to a schedule, shopping, organization, household management, and transportation. Mercury likes to think fast, talk fast, and act fast. Efficiency is his jam. Cancer, the water sign lorded by the moon, is the swirling realm of emotion, sentiment, caretaking, and compassion. This environment tends to hamper the sharp and quick methods of Mercury, who doesn't have time for feelings that get in his way of revenue goals. That said, this could set the stage for frustration when the well-planned sequences of Mercury don't move according to schedule due to the feelings factor, which causes the waters of Cancer to swell and shrink strongly and naturally in a very human way. Especially with the retrograde section of this extended stay, we may feel our capacity for detaching and getting it done anyway is overwhelmed by real human problems and experience. In the face of potential emotional trauma, we should not be counting costs. This may become a theme through July and August, especially due to upsets or mishaps that may arise in the choppy waters caused by Mercury's running his raft in reverse. The invitation here is to find some softness around the need for getting your message across, especially when it comes to criticism and fault-finding. Sometimes it's better to say nothing than to insist that your ideas be heard. Practice softening into listening, reflecting, and deepening your experiences, rather than packing in too much in one day or conversation. Saturn retrograde on July 13th through November 27th. Both of the outer planets, Saturn and Jupiter, each take one retrograde cycle per year, which sometimes overlaps and sometimes does not. To assess the possibilities of what a retrograde planet has to show us, we have to loosen our grip on what we would normally expect from that planet. In physical observation, a retrograde planet appears to pause in its path through the zodiac and begins to move in the opposite direction for a time, eventually pausing and returning to the expected pathway. If we traced this retrograde path across the sky, the zigzag line would bring attention to that little sector of space. Understanding where that little sector is in a personal chart could give clues about how the unpredictable retrograde energy may manifest for that individual. Saturn will take a stand at 8 degrees Pisces in his own nakshatra of Uttra Bhadrapada on July 13th. After which we observe him sinking back toward the early degrees of Pisces, standing once again at 1 degree Pisces on November 27th, where he begins to revisit the same territory for the third time. It is interesting to look ahead and note the interaction that Saturn and Jupiter will have this fall. This is for the long-term planners. We are watching for events that will come during November, plus or minus a week, that will seem unwanted, unexpected, or unmanageable. Think reversals, restructuring, and inconsistency. It could seem as if disruptions are destroying growth for no reason, but those reasons may become more apparent when Jupiter regains Cancer for his main transit there in late May 2026. On October 18th, forward-moving Jupiter crosses the line into Cancer, setting up for an aspect to Saturn, creating a short span where strong Jupiter will have increased power over Saturn. November 11th, Jupiter takes retrograde motion at 1 degrees Cancer, tightly aspecting retrograde Saturn at 1 degrees Pisces. Plan for a turning tide. November 27th, Saturn resumes direct motion at 1 degree Pisces in Purvabhadra nakshatra, which is ruled by Jupiter, both the sign and the nakshatra. December 5th, retrograde Jupiter returns to Gemini, re-engaging the mutual aspect between Jupiter and Rahu, bringing attention to all the air signs again. March 10th, 2026, Jupiter resumes direct motion at 21 degrees Gemini. During this 4.5-month retrograde cycle of Saturn, in the early section of Pisces from mid-July through November, we may expect some difficult behavior from Saturn, which could actually feel more focused, practical, and determined. The usual press of Saturn is difficult to apply, while in Pisces, where expansion and diffusion is the name of the game. Check the indications of Saturn in your personal horoscope and prepare to change tracks in some way as you adjust to the shifting tides and winds. We are also seeing Saturn walk back through the same territory that he has been crossing since April of 2025. Events or processes that unfolded during April, May, and June 2025 may be asking for edits or endings. Slow and deliberate Saturn could also move a bit quicker and looser during this time. The temptation to bend the rules could present itself. Remember that consequences could be fixed, while circumstances are not. Proceed with caution, but with one eye on opportunities to innovate and move a bit quicker. The Sun transits Cancer from July 16th through August 16th. The Sun moves out of Jupiter's space in Gemini on July 16th, entering the Moon's watery domain and preparing to do some synchronized swimming with Mercury until the Sun moves into Leo on August 16th. If ever a month has arrived where we have the opportunity to unite heart and mind, it will be this one. The Sun and Moon are the luminaries, the bringers of light that seemingly dance around the earth. In the direction of the sign of Cancer, both Sun and Moon are considered to be in friendly territory. On one hand, we have the Sun, ruler of individuality, assertion, expression, and natural creativity, transiting through friendly waters in the month before he washes ashore into his own shining sign of Leo from mid-August to mid-September. This is a good time to check if what is driving you from a soul level, from a uniquely you perspective, is aligning with the variable emotions that arise from reactions based in reality. On the other hand, the Sun will be dancing with analytical and intellectual Mercury as he voyages through the lake environment of Cancer, giving us tools that allow us to gain deeper perspective through intellectual detachment that could yield answers that would increase self-satisfaction at the expense of disregarding another's sensitivity. Just because a profitable avenue appears doesn't mean it's the right direction. Heart and soul is a great pairing, but the mind, reflected as the Moon's sensitive and changeable influence in the sign of Cancer, must also be given a place. The Sun fosters life, but also runs the risk of burning and drying that which he has created. The simple alchemy of Sun and Moon, masculine and feminine, day and night, is the basis of astrology. Finding ways to balance those energies leads us to using astrological information wisely. Mercury retrograde at 22 degrees Cancer on July 17th through August 10th. Adding into the flailing energy in water signs, Mercury will be joining his team leader Saturn in a much shorter retrograde cycle starting July 17th. All three of the Mercury retrograde cycles that we experience in 2025 will occur in the water signs. March 2025 in Pisces, July 2025 in Cancer, and November 2025 in Scorpio. Mercury's Cancer retrograde begins at 22 degrees Cancer and takes him back to 10 degrees, where he regains direct motion on August 10th. This few weeks, with both Saturn and Mercury retrograde in watery signs, where they can function with a bit of modification to their usual routines, it may be a good time to completely let go of structures, forms, lists, and whatever organizational techniques in favor of movement, pivots, shifting, and rebalancing. When we predict that our usual disciplines will be submerged, what do? Perhaps we choose those times to indulge in inherently non-routine activities like travel, time off from work, or retreats. The editing energy is strong with retrograde Mercury. This could be a great time to revive derelict projects and ideas and revive them into current situations. As you filter through those journals, lists, plans, and vision boards, be practical and realistic about what will get the juice going forward. Saturn and Mercury are both great at detaching from what no longer serves, especially when things get fast and loose with compound retrograde influences. New moon in Cancer, Pusha, July 24th. As Mercury loiters in the middle degrees of Cancer, its ruler, the moon, slides into home, joining the sun at 8 degrees Cancer, Pusha Nakshatra on July 24th. Pusha Nakshatra is ruled by Saturn, currently placed in Pisces and retrograde. Mercury is also retrograde. We may find some turbulence in our waters, where some of that settled bottom mud gets churned upward, reminding us that clear water can be quickly transformed into challenging, musky cascades. Pusha is considered to be one of the most auspicious slices of sky space, which is ironic, based on the combination of layered rulerships. The moon rules Cancer, the nurturing and tender sign of the mother, while indifferent and detached Saturn rules Pusha, offering us the moon and Saturn combination that often triggers challenging but rewarding situations in life. During the time of month when we pause and regroup, the new moon draws us inward to tap into deep roots and regain direction. This month, the sun and moon are swimming with retrograde Mercury, which brings to the forefront the fact that structure-friendly Saturn is only beginning his transit in the tidal waters of Pisces, but also just beginning a retrograde phase that will take us through summer and into deep autumn. Review, regain, release, rework. A great mantra for this energetic dip that comes toward the end of July. This is a time to tweak the details in favor of long-term success, which could mean pruning some branches as you fertilize the roots of the plant to encourage strong growth in a particular direction. This may not feel good, and in fact may bring levels of regret or sadness. It is better to feel the pain of separation than to be insensitive. Feeling the contrast of difficulty and ease, pain and pleasure, release and connection is a part of experiencing life. Find that which is lingering but no longer serving and gently release. Venus transits Gemini from July 26th through August 20th. After the new moon, Venus moves out of her own steady Earth environment of Taurus and into the dynamic and idealistic section of space known as Gemini, ruled as always by Mercury and currently inhabited by Jupiter. We experience the exact conjunction of Jupiter and Venus at 20 degrees Gemini on August 11th. After Venus moves past Jupiter in mid-August, it joins the press of planets rushing the gate, which is K2 in Leo. But for most of July, we see Venus in her own sign of Taurus, urging us to find contentment in the simple and pure pleasures of life, connecting with others, enjoying nourishing foods, relaxing with Mother Nature. While summer unfolds, the movement of Mercury through Cancer and the friction of Mars and Leo both create situations that require careful navigation. As a counterbalance, Venus glides with grace through Taurus, reminding us that come what may, the flowers grow, the bees buzz, the tummies get hungry, and relationships are sources of support and nourishment. Stay rooted in your creative process. Reach out to strengthen connection. The work will get done, the problems will be solved, and the barriers will break. When we face these things from a place of nourished health, we move through them with resilience. Make time for self-care and enjoying the simple things. When Venus moves to Gemini on July 26th, we may feel a sense of urgency or ramping up of energy. Bank your enjoyment energy from early July and enjoy the surge when things begin to take off. This could appear in the form of educational pursuits, businesses, relationships, and collaborations. Mars transits Virgo July 28th through September 13th. As Venus moves into action in Gemini, Mars matches pace, breaking through the barrier that is K2 in Leo and moving into Mercury's Earth sign of Virgo on July 28th, ready to push forward into harvest and practical steps after a month of challenge, delay, obstruction, and problem solving. Mars in Cancer was debilitated for an extended transit, only to move into Leo toward an exact conjunction with K2, the south node of the moon, on July 21st. The heat generated by Mars, K2, and that combination in the sign of Leo has been notable. Further, there is an aspect from Mars to Saturn in Pisces, which can feel as if force is being applied without traction, meaning that forward motion is desired but not achieved. When Mars moves into Virgo for August and into mid-September, we may collectively feel as if that which was stuck and unmoving is now able to advance, but after a rather dramatic event that caused an obvious break that is both jarring and liberating. By the end of July, Mars and Venus have moved into Mercury's territories, while Mercury remains flapping about in retrograde motion in Cancer. July feels a bit stationary, with the desire to break free. As Venus and Mars click into new positions at the end of the month, we may feel ourselves moving, but maybe not in the way we envisioned. Give it a moment to settle in. We're still in Mercury retrograde, where mental reversals could multiply quickly. August 2025 headlines. We have a full moon at 23 degrees Capricorn on August 9th. Mercury goes direct at 11 degrees Cancer August 10th. The Sun transits Leo from August 16th through September 16th. Venus moves out of Gemini and into Cancer on August 20th until September 14th. New moon at 7 degrees Leo on August 22nd. And Mercury transits Leo August 30th through September 14th. Thank you for listening. Please take care. Check in again with me in August. There are also weekly look-aheads that I've been doing on YouTube. You may want to subscribe to my YouTube channel and keep up with me that way as well. Have a great month. Thank you for listening to this presentation. If you are interested in following my work, look for Kerry Shamblin Astrology on YouTube, Spotify, Patreon, Facebook, and Instagram. My monthly forecast is published in written and audio format on my website, planetaryinfluence.com, where you can join my email list or book a one-on-one session with me. My goal is to light your path toward a joyful and liberated life experience.